Fluency and flow. That's how you will glow. Again, fluency and flow. That's how you will glow. You say, I want to glow. Please let me know how to glow. Okay, watch the video and you will glow like gold. You say, I'm a princess. Okay, good, princess. So watch the video and glow. Okay, so let me glow. All right. The marking criteria of the speaking section of the IELTS exam is very similar to the marking criteria of the writing section of the IELTS exam. We have 4 different marking criteria. If you remember, in the writing we had 4 as well. Task achievement, coherence and cohesion, lexical resource, grammatical range and accuracy. But when it comes to the speaking marking criteria, they are slightly different. Number 1, fluency and coherence. So not cohesion and coherence, fluency and coherence. You say, what does that mean? Well, relax, we haven't even started. Relax. They're going to get you a score out of 9. And it is worth 25% of your mark. The second criterion, pronunciation. Also, they're going to give you a score for pronunciation out of 9, and it is worth 25% of your mark. Number 3, lexical resource. Very similar to the writing marking criterion. 9, 25%. Number 4, grammatical range and accuracy. The same as the marking criteria for the writing. 9, 25%. The overall score is out of 9 and it is 100%. So if you notice, 2.5 of these marking criteria are the same as the writing. Grammatical range and accuracy is the same. Lexical resource is the same. Coherence is the same. But in this case, it's not coherence and cohesion, it's coherence and fluency. Pronunciation is something different. In the writing section, we had task achievement, but in the speaking, we have pronunciation, how you pronounce words. So this is what the examiners look for when they give you your score in speaking. In other words, you could be very fluent and get a 5 out of 9. Because fluency is only one marking criterion. So you have to kill 4 birds with 1 stone when you talk to get a good score. All right, I want you to pay attention now. Each one of these marking criteria, we're going to cover it separately. So pay attention, stop playing with your phone, and look at the screen. The first marking criterion, fluency and coherence. For you to be able to get a good score under fluency and coherence, there are a few things that you should keep in mind. Let's address them. Number 1, speaking at length. The first thing that I want to tell you is fluency does not mean speed. So what does that mean when you speak at length? For you to be able to speak at length, you have to make it very clear to the examiner that you're answering their question. You have to start well and you have to finish well. You have to start well by using one of the introductory phrases. Like, To answer your question, blah, blah, blah. Ah, that's an interesting question. Let me think about it, blah, blah, blah. Yeah? Especially when you do not really have a lot of ideas to answer that specific question. So you have to start well. Take a pause for 2 to 3 seconds. It's fine. But start well. Take pauses. It's okay. Guess what? Barack Obama, when he speaks, he takes pauses. And he's a really good speaker. Take pauses, but start well. Oh, that's an interesting question. Let me think about it. To answer your question, blah, blah, blah. Okay? So start well. Do not give one word answers. For example, do you like traveling? Yes. Hmm. Do not give one word answers, even if it is a yes or no question. You have to at least use one full sentence to answer the question. Ideally, 2 sentences. You have to expand on your answers. You have to fluff it up. That's why I have this photo. Because you know when you tell a story, sometimes, to your friends, do you tell them the actual story? You add your touch. You lie. You add your spices, the salt and pepper. You spice things up. Yeah? So do the same in the IELTS exam. Instead of lying in real life, lie in the exam. At least you're gonna get a good score. So do not lie in real life. Lie in the exam. Yeah? Add your touch. Yeah? How? By adding examples, giving personal stories, telling white lies, spicing things up. So this is how you expand on your answers. Okay? Avoid hesitation. So why do you feel worried in the exam? That's a good question. So what are the reasons behind you feeling hesitant and worried in the IELTS exam? Number one, you might not understand the question. If the examiner asks you a question that you cannot really understand, it's okay. Ask them to explain the words. Well, that's not the best, but it's better than answering another question. Yeah? For example, if they ask you to talk about globalization and you do not know the word globalization, do you think it's better to ask them for the meaning or to say something about your favorite hobby? To ask them for the meaning. So if there is a word in the question that you cannot understand, it's fine. Be confident. Tell the examiner, sorry, what do you mean by this word? It's okay. Not knowing what to say. Let's say, for example, they ask you about globalization and you know the word globalization, but you do not really have ideas to talk about globalization. But you can say, that's an interesting question. Let me think about it. So you buy yourself some time. So you should be fine if they ask you a question about something that you're not really familiar with. It's fine, even in your native language. Do you know how to talk about all the topics? Obviously, no. You can talk about something similar or related to the question that you're being asked. For example, if they ask you about your favorite Hollywood actor, for example, and you do not really know any Hollywood actor, you can say, that's a really interesting question. I'm a big fan of movies and films, but I'm not really interested in Hollywood. So let me tell you about a local TV star that we have in Morocco. It's okay. Still related to the same topic. Yeah. So when they ask you to talk about a Hollywood actor, you do not really have to talk about a Hollywood actor. It's okay. Yeah. You can talk about something that's related to the topic. It's fine. So relax. I don't know anything about Hollywood, but let me tell you about Bollywood, for example. I know Shah Rukh Khan. I know Salman Khan. Hindi Bacha. Yeah. So if you do not know what to say, tell the examiner, ah, I'm not really familiar with such a topic, but let me tell you something about blah, 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 which is related to the topic. Okay. Sometimes you might be unlucky. You might get an unfriendly examiner. Well, unfriendly doesn't mean that they do it on purpose. Sometimes they do not really maintain eye contact with you because they are busy, they're taking notes, they could be thinking about other things. So do not take it personal. So speak and smile and relax. Talk. Talk to yourself. So get used to talking to yourself. Okay? Sometimes, especially when you talk too much, you will be interrupted by the examiner. Does that mean you're going to get a bad score? No. Do not let that affect you. But if this affects you, my personal recommendation is to finish off firmly. Like make it very clear that you're finishing off the answer of that question. For example, let's assume they're asking you about your favorite hobby, for example. And you started talking and talking and talking. Oh, I like to play football, but sometimes I like to work out in the gym. And sometimes I do play paddle. But to answer your question, my favorite hobby is basketball. See, I made it very clear. But to answer your question, my favorite hobby is basketball. Like I finished the sentence or the answer firmly. I made it very clear to the examiner that I finished. Because even in real life, if you talk to someone and they keep talking and talking and talking, you will have to interrupt them. You know what I mean? But if they finish and you know that they finished, this means they're giving you the permission to ask the following question. So make it very clear to the examiner that you finished your answer. You only have 15 minutes maximum for the entire exam. So you have to train yourself to finish off firmly, clearly. Feeling in a rush. Why are you in a rush? Why? What do you have after 15 minutes? What do you have? You have nothing. So why are you in a rush? He's about I'm busy. Busy doing what? So relax. Talk slowly. Take pauses. You're not in a rush. So relax. When you take your time, when you come up with sentences, it's going to make you arrange the words in your lovely, beautiful head and speak them clearly. So relax. Speed does not mean fluency. When you speak fast, even in your native language, you're going to make mistakes. Okay? So when you make mistakes, it's okay. Everyone makes mistakes when they talk. When you speak in your native language, don't you make mistakes? You make mistakes. Does that mean you're not a fluent speaker? You are. Even ChatGPT makes mistakes. Can you believe this? If ChatGPT makes mistakes, who are you not to make mistakes? In fact, you know what? I like this, Amar. Let me show them something. 1 second. Because I want you to be a little bit more confident. You should be confident. Look, this is ChatGPT, correct? Okay, look here. ChatGPT can make mistakes. Are you better than ChatGPT? Okay. How's the confidence now? Isa, it's skyrocketing. Yeah, this is the goal. We all make mistakes. We are still under fluency and coherence. I told you to avoid hesitation and to speak at length. Number 3, I want you to use discourse markers, new words. The word discourse means speech, talking. Markers are the things that mark your speech. In other words, the signs that tell the listener what you are going to speak about, like the signs and the signals on the highway, as you can see in the photo. Discourse markers are very similar to cohesive devices when we spoke about writing. So the cohesive devices are devices or words or phrases that link sentences to each other. But discourse markers, these are like the words and the phrases that tell the examiner or the listener what you are going to speak about. For example, when you say, to answer your question, blah, 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 this means you're going to answer the question. It's like directing the listener to your answer. You want to tell them what you are going to talk about to make your speech very coherent. Because remember, we're talking about fluency and coherence. Coherence, what does it mean when you spoke about writing? It means organization. So when you have discourse markers, when you talk, this means you're organizing your speech. It's very similar to writing using paragraphs. But obviously, when you talk, you cannot have paragraphs, but you can have discourse markers. You're organizing your speech. You know what? This means blah, blah, blah. This means you're going to explain the previous sentence. Anyway, this means you're going to jump into the conclusion. This would result in, this means you're going to mention the result. The reason behind this is blah, blah, blah. This means you're going to mention the reason. I reckon. This means I believe or I think. You're going to mention your opinion. In my view, blah, blah, blah. So these are the words or the phrases that would direct the examiner towards your answer to make your speech very organized. You like the photo? You can see this car? Like from the 70s, yeah? We are still under fluency and coherence. We spoke about fluency. We said speak at length, avoid hesitation, fluency. Coherence, using discourse markers, and act natural. When you talk to the examiner, I want you to act natural, like you're talking to a friend. When you talk to your friend, do you memorize sentences when you talk? No. A lot of students, they memorize sentences. That's no good. Never ever memorize sentences because the examiner is going to notice that you're memorizing sentences and it's going to backfire. Do not memorize sentences. If there are certain words that you do not know how to use properly, do not use them. Do not use words that you're not familiar with because you're going to make mistakes. Because as I told you, in English, there's something that's called collocations. Words are normally used with other words. if you know a word, but you do not really know how to use it properly, it's very likely that you're going to use it with the wrong word. And you're going to make a mistake, which is going to backfire. So only use words you know how to use. Use your body language. When you talk, act natural. Be yourself. Do not be afraid of the examiner. Yeah? Most of the time, the examiner is going to be friendly. Most of the times, 99% of the time. But even if he's not friendly or if she's not friendly, they do not really mean it. Do not take it personal. Be yourself. Use your body language. Use expressive body language and show your emotions using your facial expressions, like what you can see in this photo. You like the photo? Yeah? So be natural, act natural, be yourself, do not be afraid, make mistakes, embrace the mistakes. It's okay, it's okay. Isa, I have a question. What is your question? Do I have to have an American accent or a British accent in the exam? You don't have to have an American accent. You do not really have to have a British accent. You can have your own accent and get a 9 out of 9. But you have to pronounce the words correctly, obviously. Yeah? Do you know Arnold Schwarzenegger? You don't know Arnold? Arnold, the actor, yeah. The Terminator. He speaks with a German accent. He's very fluent. He was the governor of California. So do not worry about the accent. Okay? Relax. Okay. You like the photos? You like the photos. Now, let's move to the second marking criterion. So we spoke about fluency and coherence. Now let's talk about pronunciation. Number 1, stress. Stress doesn't mean you're going to get stressed in the exam or worried. Each word in the English language is composed of what we call syllables. Do not worry about the term. Do not worry. In other words, the word is divided into parts, small pieces, pronunciation parts. Some words only have one syllable. Some words have two. Some words have three. Some of them have four. Some of them have five. A syllable is a group of letters. Most of the times they have a vowel sound. Like when you say the word cat. In how many stages do you say the word cat? One stage, cat. What about water? Water, two syllables. What about the word beautiful, for example? Beautiful, three syllables. So a syllable is a group of letters that you pronounce them together. In the English language, if you want to pronounce a word correctly, you have to emphasize or stress a certain syllable. Let me give you an example so you understand. When you say the word photograph, how many syllables do we have? Photograph. 3. In the English language, you have to put a stress or you have to emphasize one of these 3 parts. If it's the word photograph, you stress the first syllable. This means you make it a little bit longer and louder. Photograph. See? photograph. Photograph. If you notice, to graph, like to graph is pronounced quickly and fast. Photograph. However, pay attention. When you say this guy that you can see in the image with the biceps, the fit guy, you would say he is a photographer. See the difference? A photograph, a photographer. Photograph, photographer. See the difference? You don't say he is a photographer. No. I know this might sound a little bit advanced. That's okay. It's good to know. You do not really have to put a lot of work, but it's good to know. So how would you know where to place the stress? Obviously, you have to use the dictionary. I will show you now how to use the dictionary. But if you do not really have time, do not worry about it. It's advanced, but it's good to know. Yeah? Photograph, photographer. Another example, listen to this example. When you say present, which means a gift, how would you say it? Do you say present or present? Focus. Present or present? First one or the second one, which means a gift. Because tomorrow, technically after 30 minutes, we have the Valentine's Day. Are you going to get a present or a present or nothing? It's a nothing. Number three. We're going to get nothing. I know. But let's assume you're going to get a present. Which one would you get? Would you get a present or a present? A present. Why are you going to get a present? Because the word present has two syllables. Present. When you use it as a noun, you stress the first syllable, present. But when you want to deliver a presentation, you say, I'm going to present. See the difference? I'm going to present the slides. I'm going to present the presentation. Present. See? Like zent is longer and louder than present. But when it's a noun, present. Zent is a little bit fast. So present, it's a noun. Present is a verb. Another example, when you record something, do you record the lecture or do you record the lecture? Well, record is the noun. Record is the verb. Progress is the noun. Progress is the verb. Obviously, if I want to talk about this, I'm not going to finish. There's a lot of examples on where to place the stress. Yeah? But this is just for you to know because it's a short course. Obviously, I cannot explain a lot of details. But obviously, I explain this in detail in our comprehensive course that we have on our website. But just for you to know that the stress has to be placed correctly if you want to get a good score. Do you want me to show you how to find the stress using the dictionary? Let me show you an example. So this is Cambridge Dictionary, yeah? Dictionary.cambridge.org. Let's say the exact same word that I just showed you. Photograph. Look here. Obviously, it's very difficult to read this, but it's okay. This is how they pronounce the word. You do not really have to understand it. But look at this apostrophe. Can you see this apostrophe? This one. This is where you place the stress. Okay? Pay attention. See this full stop here? Wait. Full stop and full stop here. These full stops separate the syllables. So if we have two full stops, this means we have three syllables. So this is the first one. This is the second one. This is the third one. So we have three syllables. Where shall we place the stress? On the first one, because we have this apostrophe. Photograph. Now pay attention, yeah? Keep this in your mind. Now let me show you the other word, which is photographer. Yeah? Can you see it? How many syllables do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. We're gonna place the stress on tog, yeah? Photographer, yeah? Because it is where the apostrophe is. Let me give you another simpler example, like the word present, which could mean a gift, and it could mean to present something, yeah? Look here. This is when it's a noun. When it's a noun, what I told you, present. The stress is on the first syllable. See? The apostrophe is on the first syllable because we have two. 1, 2. Why? Because there's a full stop here. If you have one full stop, this means you have two syllables. This is when it's a noun. Okay, Isa. When it's a verb, let's have a look. See? Present, when it is used as a verb, it's on the second syllable. See? Present. Okay? It's a little bit advanced. If you want to get a 6 or a 5, do not worry. Yeah? That's good to know. Okay. It's a good looking guy? Good looking guy, I think, yeah? All right. The second bullet point, accurate pronunciation. I want you to pay attention here. So we are still under the second marking criterion, which is pronunciation. Yeah? We have stress and now we have accurate pronunciation. Now, this photo looks like a real photo. Can you believe this is an AI generated photo? I cannot believe it. But it is an AI generated photo. Yeah? All right. Pay attention. Rafran, stop playing with your phone, please. You playing with your phone? Pay attention. Obviously, there's a lot of words in the English language. When you speak them, you have to pronounce them correctly. Do you think in this course I'm going to tell you all the correct pronunciations for all the words? Obviously not. But I want to tell you that to get a good score, you have to pronounce the words correctly. Yeah? And you have to pronounce or to place the stress on the correct syllable. But obviously, because I cannot tell you all the words and how to pronounce them correctly, I'm just going to show you some examples, especially for Arabic speakers, because let's say 60% of my students speak Arabic. So I noticed a lot of similar mistakes, common mistakes the Arabic speakers make. Yeah? When it comes to pronouncing certain words. Obviously, Russian speakers make another or other sets of mistakes. Chinese speakers, they make other sets of mistakes. Portuguese speakers, like a lot of Brazilians, they make specific mistakes. Yeah? So let me give you some examples so you understand what I mean by correct pronunciation. Yeah? A lot of students would say, he is a close friend of mine. A close friend. Now, the word close is when you close the door or open the door. Yeah? But when you want to talk about your friend, you don't say close. You say he's a close. The s sound, not the z sound. There's a difference. So when you use close as a verb, you use it with the z sound. But when you use it as an adjective, you say it with the s sound. He is a close friend of mine. Months. Now, if you want to say this, say it. Say it. Months. Months. Not months. Months. Yeah, because a lot of students, when they add the s, they add another sound before the s. Months. No, not months. Months. Yeah? I know that the singular word is month, but the plural word is not months. You change everything. Months. How can you remember it? M-U-N-C-E. M-U-N-C-E. Months. This is how I normally remember it. Again, these problems are called, these two mistakes are called word ending. Word ending, yeah? Worked. No, not worked. Worked. A lot of times when you have a verb ending in ed, you do not pronounce the ed. You could pronounce it just a d, and sometimes pronounce it t. Worked. In this case, it's pronounced as a t. Worked. Not worked. Another example. I'll give you 2 more examples and then that's it, yeah? Like the word company. Yeah, a lot of people, because they see the letter O, they say company. No. The letter O doesn't mean it's an O. Company. It's like a U. Company. You didn't say company. Like the word color. You know color? Red, green, blue. Do you say color? You don't say color. But it has an O after the C, correct? It's not color. It's ka. Color. Very similar to the word cut. It's a U. And this one is an O. And guess what? Both of them are pronounced the same. Cut, company. One is an O, one is a U. Just giving you some examples, yeah? The word determine. A lot of students, like my students, they say determine. Because there is a word mine. You know mine? Like belongs to me. They say, oh, determine. Determine, not determine. Even though the word mine is there, but even though it's there, it doesn't mean it's you or it belongs to you. So you cannot pronounce it the way you want it. Yeah? So determine. Yeah? Advertisement. Do we say advertisement or advertisement? By the way, that's why we have this photo. Yeah? One of them is American, advertisement. One of them is British, advertisement. Yeah? Obviously, you have to stick to one style when you talk. For this, let me show you something that's really going to help you when it comes to pronunciation. Well, let me show you how to use the dictionary to help you pronounce certain words correctly. Pay attention. So this is Cambridge Dictionary. Let's say you're looking for the word close or close. Look here. When the word close is a verb, can you see this? What does it say? Z, letter Z. Yeah, it looks like letter Z. So this means it's an Z sound. Actually, you know what? Let me share the audio 1 second. Close, listen.
Close.
Okay, because there's a Z here. Look, it's a verb. But when it's an adjective, look here. So now we have close as an adjective, which means having a relationship or a direct family connection, blah, blah, blah. Like a close friend. See? Here, what does it say? S. Listen to this.
Close. Close.
See the difference? Now let me show you the other word. Or another example. Advertisement. Look here. Listen. The UK.
Advertisement.
Listen to the US one.
Advertisement.
Z. S. Advertisement. Advertisement. Now, obviously, there is a lot of other examples, but let me show you this tool, and I think it's going to help you a lot. I like it because sometimes you need to hear the word within a sentence, not isolated. Yeah. It's called Youglish.com. See? Youglish. Let's check the word advertisement. Now, you have to type in the word in the search bar. And the good thing about it that you have the US pronunciation, the UK pronunciation, the Australian pronunciation, and also Canadian pronunciation, Irish pronunciation, Scottish, and New Zealand pronunciation, yeah? But do not worry about this. Mainly it's the UK and the US, and Australian maybe, if you are interested. You type in the word, and the good thing about this website, they would get you videos from YouTube of people who have these accents and who are using the word. So let's have a listen. And it's not just one video. There's like 2,386 videos. Yeah. This is for all. Let me just search for the US, for example. See?
Possible advertisement for your product.
See? And you can obviously adjust the speed. Let's make it a little bit slower, for example, just to pay attention.
Well, when people see a 5-star pool in an advertisement.
See? Advertisement. Listen. Listen to this one.
On administration, and they're using creative accounting merely to justify their advertisements. And
Advertisement. Another one.
Better advertisement.
Okay, let's check the UK spelling, for example. Pronunciation, not spelling, sorry.
It's a massive ethical issue which is compounded by this horror. This is a regular advertisement.
See? Advertisement.
These were well known as Waterloo teeth as an advertisement.
Advertisement. See the difference? A very big difference, yeah? So you can use this tool to check the pronunciation of a certain word. And this tool is really helpful, especially when you want to look for certain words that are in the plural form. Because, for example, the word months, if you go to Cambridge Dictionary, it's only going to show you the singular form, month. It's not going to show you months. But if you type in the word months here, we have 20,000
months in advance.
And Rosalind has been making work over the past few months in.
See? But if you go here to Cambridge Dictionary, you type in the word months in its plural form, you're not going to find anything. You're going to only have month as a singular. So it's really helpful. Yeah. Like also an example, the word data. I say data, like information. Some students might tell me sometimes, Isa, why do you say data? It should be data. Well, data and data, both of them are correct. Yeah. Let me show you. If you type in the word data, for example, I call it data. Yeah. See here, the UK and the US, I can read these ones, but a lot of people cannot read them. But see, this is data. This is data. And this is data. Yeah. But to confirm, if you go to Youglish, type in the word data, for example. Let's just double check. I'll tell you that the US pronunciation and the UK pronunciation, most of the people would say data. But I will check the Australian after. Yeah. But most people would say data. Like, you know the word day, like day, Monday, Tuesday? Data. I call it data. Let's check. This is how I confirm my pronunciation a lot of time. So let's check. So the UK or the US spelling for the word data.
Big data,
Okay.
consumer monitoring.
She said data.
The internet, where any query, where any piece of data knowledge.
Data.
Persuasive here. I think we have the persuasive numbers, the data.
Data, yeah? So it looks like US is data. Let's check the UK.
Information, we need data,
Again, data.
The data's then
Data.
And to say, well, your assumptions do not match the data.
Data again. Okay, let me check the Australian one, just to check.
Data integration is when you take.
Did you hear this? Data. See? Let me make it a little bit faster. Listen.
Two.
Right.
Your bedroom window with a set of binoculars collecting data.
Was not very clear. Let's check this one.
Those that prioritize product safety and data privacy.
Data. See? So this is how I confirm my pronunciation. See? Another one.
Products and make data-driven decisions.
Data-driven. See? So this is how I check. Yeah, it's good to. It's a good tool for you to have. Yeah, is it good, Asma, for you? Yeah, only English teachers would like this. The other ones are annoyed. Yeah, it's good, helpful. Okay. All right, back to our slides. Okay. So now we finished the second marking criterion. So we spoke about pronunciation, stress, and having accurate pronunciation. Now the third marking criterion, lexical resource. Now this is very similar to writing. So number one, for you to get a good score under the lexical resource marking criterion, you have to use topic-related vocabulary. Nice photo? Yeah. This photo is actually for a robot who looks like a girl. And this represents AI. The reason why I'm having this photo is because I want to tell you that sometimes if they might ask you about AI in the speaking exam, you have to use words that are related to AI. Topic-related vocabulary. You have to use words similar to this. AI, or artificial intelligence, machine learning, automation, algorithm. See, these words that we hear all the time, yeah? Virtual assistant, facial recognition, yeah? Machine learning. All of these ones are good collocations, topic-related vocabulary. This means you're going to get a good score. So if they ask you a question about pollution, you should use words related to pollution. Carbon dioxide, greenhouse gases, maybe deforestation, maybe I cannot come up with any more words. But you got the point, yeah? So you have to use words related to the topic. Yeah? They ask you about Hollywood. You should use the words films, movies, actors, blockbusters, movie star, action, drama, words related to the topic. If you're not using words related to the topic, your score is gonna decrease dramatically and drastically. And it could sometimes plummet or take a nosedive. You know, when you dive in a pool, you close your nose and then you take a dive because you're going down. Your score sometimes might do the same thing. It would take a nosedive and would go from 7 to 4. Okay, so remember this photo. AI. You also have to use a wide range of words. In other words, you should avoid repeating the same word. A lot of times, the examiner might be asking you a question that might be answered in the previous question. For example, the examiner might tell you, do you like working out in the gym? And you might say, I'm not really a big fan of sports, for example. And then the following question could be, do you do any sports? Well, I've just told you that I'm not really a big fan of sports. So in this case, you have to repeat yourself. But when you repeat yourself, you shouldn't repeat the same words. So the answer that you gave, 12 o'clock, Happy Valentine's Day. Now it's Valentine's Day. Okay. You can give me a heart. How can I give you a heart? Let's give each other hearts. I don't know how to give hearts. But anyway, big heart for you. Yeah? I have a big heart. Sometimes you might be answering a question and then the examiner would ask you a very similar question. Why? Because they want to test you. How are you going to rephrase or how are you going to paraphrase the answer that you previously gave? You should give the same answer but using different words. And sometimes you have to paraphrase the actual phrase. Let me give you an example here. Look here. If you look at this photo, we have a couple here because it's the Valentine's Day. Apparently, they're getting married in Bali. Bali is an island in Indonesia. Let's say the examiner asks you this question. Do you think marriage is still as important as ever? Marriage. I want you to pay attention to the word marriage here. And look at this answer. I think marriage is still important. In my culture, at least. The thing is, some people do not welcome the idea of getting married simply because they do not like committing themselves to a long-term relationship. But if you ask me, I think starting a family is essential to everyone. And pay attention to the words in bold. All of them mean marriage. But I only mentioned the word marriage once. Marriage, which means getting into a relationship. Getting married means marriage. Long-term relationship means marriage. Starting a family also means marriage. So I'm using a wide range of words to show the examiner that I know how to paraphrase words. You like the photo? Yeah, Isa, I'm this one. Hey, this person. I'm the witness. I'm the witness. You got it? Clear? Looks like this person is smart. You know why? Apparently, he didn't invite anyone to his wedding. Only the witness and a friend. This is how you save money. Yeah? You go and you get married in Bali, so no one comes. Yeah? Some people do not deserve the invite. Yeah? So don't invite them, just go to Bali. You know what? I went to Bali by myself. You can travel by yourself if you can. All right, so this is using a wide range of vocabulary. Wow, pay attention. We are still under the lexical resource marking criterion. Very similar to the writing. But in the writing, I did not really explain them that much. But because I love you, today is the Valentine's Day, extra information for you. Free. Like the video if you're watching it on YouTube. Okay, so no problem. Using high-level vocabulary. Isa, what does that mean? Instead of saying, good, bad, come, go, nice, bring, table, apple. Okay. These words that I've just mentioned, they're called A1. A1 words. The levels of English users are divided into 6 levels. A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2. That's based on the CEFR. It's like a classification method. A means you are a basic speaker. C2 means like you are Barack Obama. Most people are between B1 and B2. Most people. Like most of you now, I can guarantee you, you're between B1 and B2. Maybe Mena is A2. No. No, yalla. B1, no problem. B1 for you. Okay? So in the IELTS exam, I want you to pay attention. And I will show you this using the dictionary, by the way. Pay attention. For you to get a good score, try not to use A1 words. So what does that mean? Oh, sorry, Menna. I told her this and it's Valentine's Day. I have to apologize. Okay, Menna, you are C2 because it's the Valentine's Day. Good for you. Gift. Okay? Do not use A1. Let me show you an example so you understand. Look at this example. The word important is A1. Who doesn't know the word important? We all use it, correct? This means it's A1. Okay, Isa. A1 means you're going to get a very bad score in the IELTS. Isa? But I want to get a 5, like Menna. Okay, if you want to get a 5 like Menna, use necessary. It's A2. Pay attention. So important is the worst. Necessary is A2. Isa, but I do not want to be like Menna. I want to be... I'm joking. Let's clap for Menna. She deserves it. She deserves it. Menna, you know I joke with you. If you do not like me to joke with you, let me know. But I like to have fun with you. See, everyone is clapping for you, so don't cry. Okay? I want to be like Aya. Okay. If you want to be like Aya, you should use B1 words, like essential. Wow, Aya, B1. Good. So essential is a B1 word. So important, necessary, essential. Isa, I do not want to be like Aya. I want to be like Asma. No, if you want to be like Asma, you have to be careful. You should use B2 words. What words, Isa? You can use key. Isa, key? The key? No. Key, as the key, is an A1 word when it's used as a noun. But when it's used as an adjective, meaning very important, it's B2. You remember? A key piece of information. This means a very important piece of information. All of these words, by the way, are synonyms. They mean the same thing. Isa, yeah, I do not want to be like Asma. Who do you want to be like? Isa, I want to be like Dalal. Because Dalal, she likes to use idioms like break a leg. I want to be like Dalal. What can I do? Listen, if you want to be like Dalal, you have to work hard. It's not easy. We only have one Dalal. You have to use C1 words like substantial. Dalal is a C1 speaker. She uses substantial. She doesn't use important. Isa, I do not want to be like Dalal. Who do you want to be like? Isa, I want to be like you. Oh, no. If you want to be like me, it's different. Very difficult. You cannot be like me. Isa, please, I want to be like you. Let me think about it. Okay, let me teach you how to be like me. Isa, please teach me. I want to be in the same category like you, Barack Obama, and all these people. Me and Barack Obama? Yeah, same level. Then you have to use this word. You have to use a C2 word, like profound, which means very important, like deep, crucial, substantial, important. Yeah? Like when you have a very bad effect on the environment, you can say, this pollution problem has profound effects on the environment. Yeah? This is if you want to be like me and Barack Obama on the same the same level. Me, Barack Obama, and all these people, famous people. Yeah, you have to work hard. You got the point? So it's one word, different levels. Yeah, important, necessary, essential, key, substantial, profound. Obviously, if you know the word and if you hear it a lot, this means everyone speaks it. Everyone says it. This means it's an A1 word, like apple. You said, but how can I make the apple C2? No, there are certain words you cannot make them C2. Yeah, like an apple is an apple. It's only one apple. You cannot change it. Certain words you cannot upgrade them. You gotta, but certain words you can. Now let me show you how to check the level of the word using the dictionary. Just a quick one for you. All right, pay attention. So I have here, that's everywhere, Cambridge Dictionary, Oxford Dictionary, and Longman Dictionary. These are my favorite ones. Yeah? For example, the word important. Yeah, look here. What does it say? A1. This means it's a very basic word. Can you see it? Can you see A1? Yeah. Oxford. Again, A1. Can you see it? Yeah. Now, on Longman Dictionary, they do not classify them A1, A2, B1, B2. They have another classification. Let me show you. Look here. Important. You have these 3 dots. Can you see these 3 red dots? These 3 red dots, look at my cursor now. Look. Look, it says core vocabulary, high frequency. High frequency means everyone says it. High frequency word. High frequency. Yeah. S1 and W1, this means they are very popular in speaking and in writing. Speaking, S, writing, W. 1 means 1000. So you know when you classify the words, you have the most spoken words and the most written words. S1 means people say it all the time. W1 means people write it all the time. Look. Top 1000 spoken words. Top 1000 written words. This means it's a very common word. But for example, what was the word that was C2? Profound. Let's check it. But by the way, let me tell you something. The dictionaries are not always the same. Sometimes Oxford might tell you it's B2. Cambridge might tell you it's C1. Because, you know, it's not hard and fast rules, yeah? So let's look for the word profound. Oh, here you go. See? C2. But maybe when you go to Cambridge or to Oxford, it might be C1. Let's see. C1, C1. See? Can you see it? Go to Longman. See here? We have only 2 dots. This means it's the top 2000 words or middle frequency. Look. Medium frequency. Can you see it? So this is how you check the words. Yeah? So this is how you get a good score. You use high level vocabulary. You're not going to jump from A1 to C2, obviously, overnight. It takes years. But this is just to make you understand how they judge you. Okay? It's okay. I do not expect you, oh, Isa taught me this pyramid. This means I'm going to become C2 tomorrow. No, not C2 tomorrow. See you tomorrow. Okay? All right. Good, good. We are still under the lexical resource marking criterion. What's wrong with this photo? Can you please type in the comments? Instead of you sleeping? Not suitable. Make the right choice. Yeah. Outfit. The outfit doesn't fit. I like this. The outfit doesn't fit. Yeah. When you speak, you have to use correct words or the correct choice of words. In other words, do not wear shorts or swimmers and flip-flops to a wedding party. If you want to go to a wedding party, you have to dress formally. You have to wear a suit or a dress if you're a girl, correct? But if you go like this, you're going to look weird, correct? Because this is you wearing informal outfit for a formal occasion. So when you speak in part 1, you have to speak informally because it's an informal chat. Remember, part 1 is a casual chat. They're going to ask you personal questions. Part 2 is also informal. But part 3, you're going to go to a wedding party. You have to wear a suit with the tie and speak formally. You say, how can I speak formally? You have to use the correct words. You say, what does that mean? The words in the English language, my lovely beloved students, are divided into 3 main types. Formal words, informal words, and who knows what is the third type? We have formal, informal. What is the third one? Natural, semi-formal, neutral. Correct, neutral. Asma is getting all the answers correctly because she's enrolled in the course. So she's always achieving the top marks. Neutral. The word apple, is it formal or informal or neutral? Apple. How would you say the word apple in a formal way? Oh, Isa, Mr. Apple. Well, apple is a fruit. It's not a person. So it's neutral. The word water, the word TV. So you have to decide which words to use when you speak. Obviously, you're not going to do that overnight, but I just want to let you know that some words are formal, some words are informal, some words are neutral. In fact, 95% of the words are neutral. It's good to know. It's very similar to writing formal and informal and semi-formal letters. Again, because this is a short course, it's a crash course, I'm not going to go through the list of verbs. But in our comprehensive course, we do go through a very big list of verbs and words that are formal and informal for you to use them when you talk or when you write. Do you want me to show you how to do this using the dictionary? You want? Okay. Okay, for example, the word end. To end something. I told you this is a neutral word. See, neutral. It doesn't say formal or informal. Yeah? This is the end as a noun. Well, end as a verb. Where's end as a verb? Yeah, see, end as a verb. It doesn't say whether it's formal or informal. Yeah? It's an A2 word, by the way. See, A2, which means to finish. Okay? So end as a verb, it's a neutral word. Okay, let's type the word terminate, which means end as well. See? Terminate, it says formal. Okay? Again, the word buy. The word buy as a verb, it doesn't say whether it's formal or informal. But if you type in the word purchase, for example, which means buy, to buy something, it says formal. Okay? So the word, let's say, discover. Discover is neutral. What is the informal equivalent? Find out. Let's see. So discover, which means to find information, it's a verb. It doesn't say formal or informal. This means it's neutral. Let's type in the word or the phrase find out, which also means to discover. Find something out. It doesn't mean it's informal, or it doesn't show, but I think maybe the other dictionaries would show. Let's check another dictionary, maybe Longman. Find out. Find out. It doesn't really say it's informal, but if you look down, there's a box here. See? In written English, people usually say discover rather than finds out, which tells you that in written English, discover is more formal than find out. So these boxes in Longman Dictionary are very helpful. Let me try another word. The word hang out, which means to catch up with someone. Yeah, see? Hang out, it says it's informal. This is how you check the words, whether they are formal or informal. See, if you want to get a 5 in the IELTS, do not worry about these things, yeah? If you want to get 7, even 6.5, you should worry about these things. Okay. So we are still under lexical resource. Now, collocations. If you want to get a good score in speaking and under the lexical resource marking criterion, you should use good collocation. Isa, why do you have the photo, or why do you have a photo of Tom and Jerry? Because I want to ask you a question. You like the photo? Looks real. And by the way, this photo, because it's the Valentine's Day, even Tom is buying a teddy bear for Jerry because it's the Valentine's Day. See? Even the mouse got a gift. Okay. Do you call this show Tom and Jerry, or Jerry and Tom, or the Tom and the Jerry? What do you call it? Type in the comments. What do you call this show? Tom and Jerry. Tom and Jerry. Tom and Jerry. Why not Jerry and Tom? It's the same thing. Isa, because this is how I hear it all the time. It sounds more natural. This is what a collocation is. You like this one, Dalal? Being creative now. This, yeah, no, if you can teach this to the students in the school. So you never say Jerry and Tom, even though it's actually Jerry and Tom, because we have Jerry and we have Tom and the teddy bear. But you never say Jerry and Tom. Do you say salt and pepper, or pepper and salt? Salt and pepper all the time. Do you say bread and butter, or butter and bread? Bread and butter. Do you say fish and chips, or chips and fish? Fish and chips. Do you say I can hear you loud and clear, or I can hear you clear and loud? Loud and clear. Why? Because this is how it's said. You're not here to invent language. Who are you to invent language? Who are you? Yeah. So this is what we mean by collocations. So a collocation is a group of words, and these words are normally heard together. They sound natural to you, like Tom and Jerry. Remember this photo? High definition photo, 3D, just for you. A few examples. You don't say strong rain, for example, or powerful rain. You say heavy rain. You say, why? Why heavy? It's not really heavy. It's strong. They call it heavy rain. Opinion. Do you say, I have a strong opinion or I have a powerful opinion? Strong opinion. Why? I don't know. When you work very hard, which you never do you say, I make an effort or I never make an effort? You never make an effort, correct? But you say make with the word effort. You don't say do effort. Yeah? You can also put effort as well. But it's a collocation with the word effort. Noise. Do you say loud noise or do you say big noise? Loud noise. So words are like Tom and Jerry. One of them is Tom and the other one is Jerry. You use them properly. Do you want me to show you how to check the collocation? The collocations using the dictionary? Let me show you quickly, just quickly. I'll do it quickly. For example, yeah, remember the word mistake? I told you. Do you make a mistake or do you do a mistake? You make a mistake. So you type in the word mistake and let's see which word comes with the word mistake. In Cambridge Dictionary, the collocations are always in bold. So if you see a word that's in bold, this means this is the word that you should use. See? Make mistakes. See? Make, bold. Spelling mistakes. This means they come together. Yeah? So this is Cambridge. Longman, they will have a separate box. The word mistake. See? Collocations. And the good thing about Longman Dictionary that it classifies the collocations based on the words that normally come with that specific word. So the verbs that come with the word mistakes are mentioned here. You make a mistake, you correct a mistake, blah, blah, blah. The adjectives or the nouns that come with the word mistakes are also mentioned separately. Like this is a common mistake, an adjective. A minor mistake. Serious mistake. Yeah. And then you have phrases. Phrases means a group of words that normally come together. Oh, here you go. See? Common mistakes. Don't say do a mistake. Say make a mistake. That's the good thing about Longman Dictionary. They give you the common mistakes that people normally make. Yeah? See? Is it clear how to check the collocations? As if you're going to check them. No problem. Yes, it's good to know. I will never check them, but it's okay. Good. Good for you. I know you're not going to check them, but yeah. Almost done, almost done. Yalla, Isa, let me get my popcorn to watch Tom and Jerry with you. By the way, who do you like more, Tom or Jerry? I like Tom, the cat, because I feel sorry for the cat. I'm serious, because he's always losing. Tom, yeah, I like Tom. And look at Jerry. It looks like Jerry is going to the gym. He's a little bit big now. Can you see him? Can you see him? Look. But it's good. They love each other now. It's good. No hatred. Only love. All right. Phrasal verbs. For you to get a good score in the speaking exam, under the lexical resource marking criterion, you also have to use what we call phrasal verbs to make your speech informal, especially in part 1 and part 2. So when you have a verb with a preposition, now you have two words. This is what we call a phrasal verb. For example, look at this photo. What do we have in this photo? A plate. A plate that is broken. Somebody apparently broke the plate. So the word break is a verb that means having something into small pieces. Yeah. But when you add up to the verb break. Now it has another meaning, a completely different meaning. Isa, break up, does that mean it's going up? No, it's not going up. To break up with someone, this means to end a relationship. Like, let's say you have people who are married, and then they got a divorce. This means they broke up. They're not married anymore. To break up. Okay, Isa, what if they got married again? Does that mean they broke down? No. If something breaks down, this means it doesn't work anymore. Like your car can break down if the engine doesn't work anymore. See, it's not related to break. It's not related to break up. It's not related to anything. That's the power of phrasal verbs. To break in. What does that mean? When you have a thief coming into your apartment, this means they broke into your apartment. You can say break in or break into. Both of them are the same. Yeah? If someone goes inside your apartment by force to steal something or to do something bad. Break out will break out if you have a prisoner who's escaping from prison. They broke out of prison. See? So many different meanings for the same exact word. But when you add one preposition or one adverb to it, it changes the meaning completely. So if you use phrasal verbs in the speaking exam, you're going to get a good score. Why? Because these ones are collocations. They are heard together. So phrasal verbs are technically a part of collocations. So why am I showing you this? Because I want you to try to use them if you know some of them. Obviously, these ones are just examples. Idioms. An idiom is when you have a group of words that when you use these words together, the new meaning or the collective meaning is different from the individual meanings of these words. For example, if you look at this image, we have a cube of ice and someone breaking the cube of ice. But this does not mean breaking a cube of ice. No, it has nothing to do with breaking, and it has nothing to do with ice. To break the ice with someone means to be friendly with someone. Like when I start my class, I like to have fun with Ali, with Menna, with Aya. I like to break the ice, to make them feel comfortable, relaxed, to break the ice. So this is the definition of the phrase to break the ice. When you say it's a piece of cake, when you say it's a piece of cake, this means it's very easy. Like when you say, playing football is a piece of cake for me. This means it's very easy for you. But there's no piece and there's no cake. So it's a group of words that the new meaning of this group of words does not mean the meaning of the individual words. It's a new meaning now. In English, if you want to get a good score, you have to use some idioms. Some. Well, actually, you do not really have to, but it's recommended if you can. Some examples: to hit the nail on the head. You know when you have a nail and you have a hammer, when you hit it on the head, this means you are targeting exactly what you want to say. Yeah? You're hitting the nail on the head. To be back to square one, this means to be back to zero. Yeah? To be back to the drawing board. You know the snakes and the ladders game? When you lose, the snake would eat you and you would go to square one. This means you are starting again from zero. Out of the blue means suddenly. To break the ice, as I told you, means to Make someone feel a little bit more relaxed and more comfortable. Okay, so idioms, if you want to get a good score in speaking, you should use some idioms. If you want to get a 6, you don't really have to use idioms. 7 and above, you should use some of them. Use one at least. You can use ChatGPT to tell you the most popular and common idioms and try to choose the ones that you can use easily. Yeah, but do not force it, because if you force it, you're not gonna do well. So we are still under lexical resource marking criterion. Yeah. So the last point under the lexical resource marking criterion is to use word formation. Can you see this photo? Who was born in the 80s apart from Ali and Salman? They are old people. They know Grandizer. Do you know Grandizer? Amena knows Grandizer as well. Dalal? You know Grandizer. Yeah, the transformer, yeah. So that's why I have this photo. Because this photo is not technically Grandizer. It's a transformer. You have something that transforms into another thing. Something or a group of things that would transform into a new thing. Hence, we have this photo. So for you to get a good score on the speaking exam and under the lexical resource marking criteria, you have to use word formation skillfully. You like this word? Skillfully? I just made it up from the word skill. Skill, skillful, skillfully, skilled, unskilled. See, all of these words are generated from the word skill. Look at the word form. To form something is to create something or shape something, correct? Like to form something from nothing, for example. What about the word inform, which means to tell someone a piece of information? I added in. So I changed the form of the word or the meaning of the word by adding what we call a prefix. A prefix is a group of letters that we add before the word to make it a new word. Form, we call this the base word or the root word, and then you add extra things. Okay, let's play. Inform, reform, which means to do something again. Deform, which means to damage the form. Uniform, which means to make everyone wear the same thing, the same shape. Okay, so formation. Now we're adding what we call a suffix word at the end of the base word. Formation. So we're making it a noun. Formation, which is the noun of the verb form. Okay, information. Now we have a prefix and a suffix at the same time. Inform, which means to tell someone something, but now it's a noun. Information, your favorite word. Okay, so how is this related to the image? Yeah, because this image is transformers. Transformers. Trans, which means beyond something. Form and ER to make something like a noun. This is what we call word formation. You create different words from the same word. Like when you say skill, skilled, unskilled, skillfully. When you say able, able, unable, disable, enable. So when I told you the word skillfully, I did this a little bit on purpose this time to show you, or to show the examiner, if I was a candidate, that I can form words from the base word. So try to force it sometimes. All right. We almost finished. So this is all under the lexical resource marking criterion. So we covered fluency and coherence. We covered pronunciation, and we covered lexical resource. Now let's cover grammatical range and accuracy. This is the exact same thing that we spoke about when we spoke about the writing component. I do not want to repeat myself because it's going to sound a little bit boring. See, boring from the word bore. Boring, bored, yeah, boredom. I'm creating words from the same word. Yeah. All right, back to our topic. So for you to get a good score under the grammatical range and accuracy, you have to do the same thing that I told you to do when it comes to writing. You have to use complex structures like compound sentences, complex sentences by using although, whereas, while, by using and, because, so, but. Complex structures. The more, the better. This is what we call the double comparatives. Not only, but also. This is what we call inversion. You should use the conditionals. And when I say conditionals, I mean if. If I were you, I would do this. If I were to win $1 million, I would travel to Thailand. Conditionals. So these ones are called complex structures. So you have to use complex structures and also a wide range of structures. Yeah? Do not use the same tense, for example. I told you, how many tenses do we have in the English language? Let me know in the comments because you're sleeping. Correct. 12 tenses. When you speak, try to mix them up. We have present, simple. We have present, perfect. We have present, continuous. We have present, perfect, continuous. We have past, simple. Past, perfect. Past, continuous. Past, perfect, continuous. We have future, simple. Future, perfect. We have future, continuous. Future, perfect, continuous. 12 tenses. Go watch some videos on YouTube about them. Or if you're one of my students, I have a full course that's called the Basic Grammar for IELTS. I explain all the 12 tenses and how to use them properly. In the IELTS, not in general, in the IELTS. So you have to use a wide range of tenses. You have to use a wide range of complex structures and a wide range of structures. And obviously, most of your sentences should not contain mistakes. This is how you get a good score in the grammar part. In the coming session, I will include sample answers. Band 9 answers. Menna, what are you having today? Creme caramel? Brownie as well? MashaAllah. You keep eating sweets. I like this diet. What sort of diet is this? Looks like you're not craving anything. You keep eating. I like it. The Ito diet. This is the Ito diet, yeah? I like this diet. Yeah? All right. So in the coming lecture, I will show you some band 9 answers and also show you how to study speaking by yourself. So this is the end of today's session.